Welcome and good morning, my fabulous Sonder fam. Welcome to our Sunday morning setup. We are going to get this last week of July, believe it or not. How did that happen? Our last week of July set up in our journals. So hopefully you have your journal with you. If you are new and you haven't gotten a July journal and you're just kind of joining to see what this is all about, and you're going to start with us in August, totally awesome. The nice thing is the weekly setups are pretty similar week from week to week. So you'll get lots of great ideas. So get some sticky notes, some scratch paper, make some notes. Also, I always want to kind of point out to folks that with these setups, there's a lot going on in the chat, right? There's usually about 100, sometimes 200 people joining, so the chat can get rolling really fast. So some people like to join and they just kind of hang out in the chat, right? And so they kind of see some ideas from other Sonder fam, they take notes and all of that, and that's great. Other people really like to devote the time specifically to just kind of heads down, listening to the music, seeing a few examples, and filling out their week. They don't participate in the chat. That's absolutely fine too. And some people do a mix, and you switch it up from week to week. So Tony's joining us from London. Welcome, Tony. I'd say it's afternoon for you, so it's not the early morning. I am here in Aurora, Colorado, so it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me. My fabulous stage manager, who's going to be keeping an eye on the chat, Karen, she'll pop on and give a little wave. She is in California, so it's definitely early for her. And she will actually be hosting, we're going to flip roles for this afternoon, or this, around 4 o'clock Pacific time when we do this. Again, we give you lots of opportunities to come and set up your journal. And we have someone from Hawaii. Oh my goodness. So we have like all different time zones. So I'm so glad you were able to take a little bit of time for yourself this morning or afternoon, or early morning, depending on where you are, to get started with planning your week. So a few little housekeeping tips. If you're, when you put things into the chat, make sure that it says it's to everyone. It likes to default to host and panelist. Even if you switch it to everyone, then the next time you go to type, it'll often switch it back to host and panelist. And if it says host and panelist, the only one who sees it is myself and Karen. So if you ever post anything and people aren't really responding, it could be that you have it set on host and panelist. And we'll try to remind you to make sure to flip that. Let's see what else. So let's also just quickly go through our community guidelines. We like to make sure that this is a safe and affirming and supportive space. And therefore, we always ask folks to be kind and courteous to both yourself and to others. No promotions or spam, respecting everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying. Limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine if you have a few questions about what pens do you use that don't bleed through, that kind of thing. Or if you see some cool stickers and you want to ask where people got some stickers. The best place to ask those product and accessory questions are in our Sonder Club app, because then people can give you all sorts of fun links. If you have any customer care inquiries, please direct those to our team at hello@silkensonder.com. They are a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 operation, but they're the ones who can help you with things like shipping or billing. Karen and I do not have access to any of that behind the scenes or your account or anything like that. So we're not able to help you. So again, if you have any of those kinds of questions, direct those there. And then just keep in mind that these Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but ultimately you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. If anything we're working on doesn't really strike a tone with you, you're not really going to set up that particular part. This especially applies to when we do some of the journal prompts. Sometimes people are like, I'm not really feeling that particular prompt. Feel free to work on something else, right? You can color, you can work on, start working on your August journal. We're just happy to have you here with us and sharing some time and giving yourself that self-care time that is so important. So this is our last week of the theme of acceptance. I don't want to say it's our last week of ever accepting anything, right? We're still kind of dealing with that idea of acceptance throughout our lives, but hopefully you've gained some insights into what that looks like as you kind of move through your life, because it is so important to accept the things in our lives, good and bad. So that really can help us move forward. It can help us with change. It can help us just feel better as we move forward in our lives. So our agenda for today, we will do the last week of the acceptance mind map. And I think just as a little, I was talking with Karen before the social, I think next weekend, because it will still be in July, but then it kind of rolls into August. And so we might do a little something different for the mind map next weekend before we dig into the theme in August. And I don't necessarily want to say the theme for August in case people like surprises and they don't want to be spoiled as to the theme. But so anyway, so just kind of keep that in mind when you join us next weekend for the setup. Then we'll do our Rosebud Thorn, important activity for reflecting back. We'll work on those pages for the weekly setup, and then we'll close out. And I always like to use these two little cartoons by the latest Kate to help reinforce the idea, first of all, that there's room for you here just as you are. So if things are going great, you want to celebrate, you want to tell us about a promotion, you want to tell us about something great your kiddos have done, something fabulous for the summer, please share that. We love to celebrate with you. It's so great to celebrate small wins, big wins, all of those things with our Sonder fam, right? Conversely, we know that life is not always success, right? We have setbacks, we have stumbling blocks, we have challenges. Share those with us as well. Sometimes it's a matter of just having support, having somebody else say, girl, I've been there too, right? Hang in there. That's so tough, you know, thinking of you. Please don't. There's room for you here just as you are. We are here for you as a whole, right? And we know that life has its ups and downs. So some weeks it's up, some weeks it's down. Also, the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So again, we're here to feel the feels. No one can tell you how you're supposed to feel. Feel those emotions. I work on that myself sometimes, letting myself feel the emotion and kind of sit with it sometimes. So just kind of keeping that in mind as we roll forward. So again, this is our last week. We are going to explore how we can embrace acceptance in various areas of our lives. So this week, final week, and if you haven't done this the past 3 weeks, that's okay, no worries. I'll show you what the other 3 weeks were. You can catch up if you want, or just work on this week and not worry about the previous weeks, right? It just kind of moves on. So this week we are going to we are not going to worry. We are going to think about and dive into acceptance in the world in which we live, right? What things do I need to accept about the world that I live in? Oh, Nicole, I'm so glad that you are enjoying the theme. I know sometimes when we see a theme at first, we might be a little hesitant, might have a little pushback, think, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to get into this. I always think that the themes where I have the most reaction, like pushback reaction, are the ones I probably need to dig into a little bit more. So as you're thinking about your world, maybe it's the things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis in your world. Maybe it's in your home, in your work, in your community. Maybe it's big things, small things, or you can just kind of go out to the broader world, right? And so I'll show you, here's my example with my little scribblies here. So some of the things that I put down as I think about this idea of accepting the world that I live in. Yeah, Angie says need to accept that there will always be more dirty dishes. Absolutely. Dirty dishes and dirty laundry, right? Constantly showing up. Yeah, Karen says in laundry. So some of the things I put down is there's both good and bad in the world, and you'll find what you look for. Have you ever noticed that sometimes if you think things are bad and you think the world is bad and you think, you know, the world's going to bleep, you find things that confirm that, right? You find the stories that confirm that. But conversely, if you're looking for the good, if you look for the good stories, if you look for the happiness, if you look for the things where people are doing good, those are the things you see. So kind of think about that as well. I also put choose to find ways to help others. Social media makes things seem unrealistic, so I try to avoid or carefully curate your Instagram feed, your Facebook feed. Find those things that accentuate the positive, that that really kind of help with being supportive and helping with those types of feelings. Also, maybe focus on my own sphere of influence. There are only certain things that I can do. Oh, Mary, I hope you're enjoying the Midnight Library. I really enjoyed that book quite a little bit. And then this is a quote from Nick Fury from one of the Avengers movies, but I really liked this, where he says, "Until such time as the world ends, we will act as though it intends to spin on," which I think is just a very this idea of, yep, at some point the world might end, but we have to kind of keep doing what we're doing. We can't just act as though the world has ended, right? And everything's over. So those are mine. I also grabbed Bailey's, one of our other fabulous facilitators, because I love, she has a very, very pretty little mind map. And that's the other thing. The way you set up your mind map is totally, up to you as you're kind of going through. So feel free to take some time. I see some folks Tracy's saying social media is full of dachshunds. They make me happy. Love it. So feel free to share what you're going to put here in your little section of the world, acceptance of the world, the things you need to accept. And we'll check back in. I'll play a little music and we'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right, hopefully that gave you an idea as you think about your world and acceptance of the world around you, kind of what that looks like. I love, Megan said she made an account for her cat, now cats, and only follows animal accounts on that particular account. So I love that. So you can log in as your cats and then see all the fun. There are so many fun cat videos and dog videos and all those things. So super fun to see. I like Loretta's thought. She said, I can't change the world in one fell swoop, but I can take actions through smaller areas and actions to make a bigger impact later on. You never know who you will influence to make the big changes too. And I love that. I always try to tell people, when you post pictures of your journal, or you post some of your thoughts or things that you're struggling or your wins or those kinds of things in Sonder Club, you never know who you might inspire, right? And sometimes someone will tell you that that's inspiring to them or that they really appreciate it. But a lot of times we never know who that might spark that sense of joy for them or that new idea. So I love just this idea of kind of thinking about how you see your world. And, it's kind of the whole, like, be the change. So kind of how can we do the things that we, even though they may seem like small things, those small things add up. And those, Allison's saying it only takes one step to get started to make the world a better place. So yes, and hopefully you feel like being here in Sonder Club and coming to the Sonder Socials is one of those things that helps things be a better place. So I did want to really quickly, if you haven't seen this, I know they've been sending out emails. I know there's been posts in Sonder Club, but I just want to make sure you see this is included in your membership. So there's not an extra charge for this particular social. That is this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, right? So usually we say all our stuff is in Pacific time, but this is an Eastern time zone. So make sure you kind of get the time zone right. But a social, it's a fireside chat with Meha, our founder, and the New York Times bestselling author, Gretchen Rubin, to discuss her new book, Life in Five Senses. So if you haven't registered for this, strongly recommend that you do. I'm assuming they're going to record it and make it available, but I don't know that for a fact. So excuse me. So just if you can, we would love to see you so that you can join in. And I'm hoping to join in. I know Karen said she can't join in live because she has to work, but hopefully you'll be able to kind of check in because I think that's great. I've read part of this book. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but loved it. And we'll throw that link in here in the chat here in just a few minutes. Once I find that, I'll make sure to throw that link in there so you can get registered. It is an Eventbrite. If you go into like your Eventbrite under that. And Anna, I don't know if it's going to be recorded or not. My assumption is it is, but sometimes it depends on if like Gretchen Rubin agrees to having it being recorded. So crossing fingers, it should be recorded, but we'll let you know. Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more. So let's flip over to our Rosebud Thorn, which is on page 50 in your July journal. Right. And so at the end of every week, we like to give ourselves just a few moments to reflect back what happened this last week, the rose, the highlight, the thing that was lovely, the thing that made you smile, the thing that brought joy to your life, right? It could be small, it could be big. Mine this last week was time with family. My mom was in town for a little bit. All my sisters were in town. We did lots of family stuff. I had my niece spend the night last night. And so it was just lovely to spend time with family. And I moved some stuff around on my calendar to make sure that I was able to do that. So setting those priorities to be able to have that rose in my life. And then the bud, something that emerging opportunity, something that we're looking forward to, something coming up, something that we're excited about. So I have a massage on Wednesday. So I got to say, I've been having a lot of shoulder, hand pain. So I'm looking forward to having my massage, which that leads into my thorn, which I've been having this hand wrist pain issue all week. So thorn is that thing that's a challenge. Maybe you don't have any control over it, something that's maybe a little bit frustrating. I also saw that Angie said that she just tried to register and it's putting folks on a wait list, so the event must be full. So that would be my guess as well. So keep an eye on Sonder Club. I know we'll have probably some more information about that. Go ahead and register even if you get onto the wait list, because sometimes they kind of switch that up. So all right. Oh, and Nicole's having a massage on Tuesday as well. So I'll play a little bit of music, let you reflect on this last week. Sometimes it's good to flip back through your pictures on your phone or look back at your calendar to kind of see, but just spend a few minutes looking at this, and you're free to let us know your rosebud thorn. We'll check back in here in just a moment. Okay, so hopefully that was enough time for you to think of that rosebud and thorn. If you didn't get it finished and you need a little more time, absolutely spend some more time working on this. It's always a good idea to spend each week thinking back on our previous week, writing these things down. And it works out very nicely when we hop into our August journal and we do those July reflections. You can go back and look at those weekly reflections, and it helps jog your memory, because if you're like me, you probably do a million different things, and you tend to forget everything you do. So a lot of times when I go back and look, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that. Oh yeah, I forgot there was this. Oh yeah, I forgot this was a problem, and now it's not a problem. I saw lots of folks have some travel. People still have some vacation left, so doing some vacation. I saw a lot of people are talking about they either saw the Barbie movie or they're going to see the Barbie movie. We had hoped to do that this weekend, but I think we've got some other stuff going on, but hopefully eventually we'll get to go and check that out. So, oh, and also Karen just popped into the chat. She checked in with our headquarters and they said, make sure you register as more seats might be released. So make sure that you get that registration done if you want to do the Gretchen Rubin's event on Thursday night. So let's dive into our weekly planner here for the week. And the first thing, and we're over on page 52. So the first thing up there is how we want to feel for the week. And this is always, I always consider it as setting my intentions for how I want to show up for the week, right? How do I want to show up at work? How do I want to show up at home? How do I want to show up in public? Like what's kind of that intention, right? And so you can see lots of different ways. A lot of people just pick one word that they use. So you can see things like mighty or self-love, realigned. Other people have more of a phrase, so light and airy, from letting things go. Some people have multiple words: accomplished, in control, peaceful. I love the fun in the sun one with the fun little stickers. Some people just use stickers. Some people just use a little drawing, anything like that. Or also, excuse me, you could use the I am phrase. So sometimes I find this is nice, where you can say, I am blessed, I am magnificent, I am fearless, I am secure, I am infinite, right? Kind of thinking of how you want to show up for this week. So for mine, I put this week, I want to feel open to possibilities. I want to feel like there are lots of different possibilities out there, and I want to make sure that I'm thinking of and going toward those possibilities that will make things feel good. So I see, yeah, pop those words in there. I won't actually play a song because we're going to work on our 3 major goals here in a second, but pop those words in here. So I see amazing, excited, accomplished, fun. I am learning. I love that. Feeling productive and grounded, energized, surrendered, grounded and centered, rested, unstoppable, peaceful, calm, relaxed, fulfilled, confident, strong. I love the que sera, sera. Very nice, Crystal. Still going with that acceptance theme. Harmonious. Let's see, insouciant. Love that. That's a fun word. Like I am fully in the moment. Right. So really kind of think about that, and then think of that and hold that feeling, hold that word, hold that phrase, as we then pop into our weekly major 3 goals, and really think about how can these goals support the way you want to feel this week. And one of our tips that we always like to give people, right? It says 3. Yes, it says 3 major goals, and these are for the week. Maybe you set 1 goal instead of 3. Maybe last week was really crazy. Last week was pretty intense for me with work. We had our principals coming back for the year. Can you believe it? Like, the poor principals are already back, and they had 4-day-long meetings to get ready for this next school year. So, kind of maybe I only want to have 1 goal to kind of go forward with that. Or maybe you want to only have 2 goals, or you can have those 3. And I have been reading, I love the author Laura Vanderkam. She has a lot of really good books about like your relationship with time and how you're setting priorities and how you kind of decide what's important for you in life. Yeah, I know Nicole's saying I'm working on not cringing when people say school year. I know. But anyway, I just read a book about the idea of possibilities and these kinds of things. And she said, expectations are infinite, right? We will always have all these expectations for ourselves. People always have expectations of us. These expectations, our life will expand to fill up with expectations, but time is finite, right? We all only get 168, what is it, 168 hours a week, I think is what it is. And you're always choosing what you're doing with your time. So choose well and be very mindful. So I like that quote, kind of thinking about that time, this idea, expectations are infinite. So be careful with your infinite goals, your infinite expectations, because time is finite. And think about how you're choosing. So here's, excuse me, here's some thoughts about setting those goals. Maybe you want to go back into, I should say July, go back into your July intentions page, your monthly habit tracker, see if there's anything you want to kind of clean up this week or pay special attention to this week. Maybe you want to set those goals through the lens of acceptance, create those 3 no goals that affect your life in a positive way. Maybe you want to do no alcohol, no doom scrolling, no more than a certain minutes on social media, no impulse spending, no takeout meals. Look at your previous weeks or journals to see if you have any outstanding goals that maybe you haven't been able to tackle, but this week will look good to tackle. Maybe you want to frame those goals around a single personal challenge. So maybe you have a fitness challenge or a cleaning or decluttering challenge, self-care. Maybe it's something around the food that you're eating. So you want to do soups or salads or smoothies. In summer, I'm very into the salads. So I've been trying to do different kinds of salad each night. So that's kind of that can be a good goal to set. Here's some examples of things that people have done as it connects to how they want to feel. Right. And one person divided their 3 goals into body, mind, and spirit. One person divided it into mind, body, and work. I love the celebrate one. They want to celebrate health, celebrate family, and celebrate vacationing. Love that idea of different ways to celebrate. And I'll scroll through these as you work on those. So also another mind, body, heart. One person has they have 4 goals, but they have read, write, move, and work, and the things that are under those. I love the left brain, right brain, and no brain goals. So things that goals that they have for their left brain, their right brain, their no brain, right? And I'll go back through these here in just a second. Some people don't put a goal, they have a quote, right? So they have kind of this idea of something that they want to kind of keep in mind. They have a me goal, a home goal, and a work goal. Things that they can delegate, delete, delegate, and delight, right? So think about how you want to set this up. Again, if you already do goals somewhere else, or if there's something else that maybe is more pressing for you to use this little section for, feel free. Oops, sorry. I will scroll back through these so that you can see, and then we'll check back in here in a minute. Feel free to share any of your goals for the week, and we'll just keep moving forward. Nice job with thinking about those goals, what that's going to look like. I love how Tracy has, I am capable to walk 7,000 plus steps 2 times, right? Notice having some things that are very specific about maybe how many times this is going to happen, what this looks like, and being also being realistic, right? I think sometimes we create this crazy set of goals for this, our perfect self, our imaginary self. And we really need to think about our real selves and real life and how things often get in the way. So are we being realistic about, we think we're going to do these things, but when we look at our calendar, we can see that we have lots of things for work, lots of things with, maybe we have lots of things with our kiddos, it's summertime. So I know a lot of parents are doing a lot of parent taxis, right? Bringing kids back and forth to games and doing those kinds of things. So don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself that will just frustrate you. Really think about as you set those goals and being very intentional again about how they are going to help you with that feeling that you identified that you wanted to show up with for the week. So let's dive into those to-dos, which are on the next page. And I think actually we'll look at the to-dos and the habits and activities together, because sometimes I feel like they're very closely related, and some people prefer to fill out it in the habits and activities. Some people like to do it in the to-dos, keeping in mind that, again, if the to-do, you don't need another to-do list, you've already got something else, you can totally fill that in with stickers. So this is one of the things that a lot of folks like. It's called the Eisenhower matrix. You can Google that and get some videos that will show you how to use the Eisenhower matrix, give you maybe a little more detail. But the idea is you divide it up into these 4 quadrants. And the first quadrant is things that are important and urgent, right? They have deadlines. There's implications for not hitting those deadlines. What are those things that are coming at you this week? Maybe there's things that are important, but they aren't urgent. They're things that don't have to be done this week. Maybe it'd be nice if you happen to get them done this week. But there may be things that are easy to procrastinate on. So we want to kind of keep them in our forefront in our minds. Then maybe there's some things that aren't important, but they are urgent. Thinking about, can we delegate? Can we ask someone to help us, right? If you're like me, that's one of the hardest things, is asking people for help. I always feel like I should be able to do everything myself, right? And realizing that it's not a weakness to ask for help when you need help, right? So thinking about those things, thinking about how you can delegate some of those things. And then sometimes there's things that aren't important and aren't urgent, right? So they're distractions maybe that makes you feel worse about not getting those other things done. So examples are like binging on TV shows or spending hours on social media. So, oh, thanks, Barb. So, just kind of thinking about what that looks like. So for some people, they love the Eisenhower matrix. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. So again, you don't always have to do it exactly the same way every single week, right? See what might work for you this week. Here's some examples of other things people have done. I like how one person divided into mornings and evenings, right? So that's one way you might want to think about dividing things up. One person divided up in work and home, right? So things that look like that. One person kind of has just the 3 different things about, looks like maybe it's more of a morning and kind of a general anytime, and then a little bit later. One person just has kind of that nice list of to-dos. Somebody used some fun little stickers for things that they want to kind of pop in there. So then this translates also down into the habits and activities. So again, like I said, some people, it kind of depends on what this looks like. So especially if there's anything you want to do multiple times, sometimes the habits and activities work better. So here's some examples if you want to maybe choose a self-love habit. And as I was talking about curating your Instagram feed, highly recommend that you follow Silk and Sonder on Instagram, because they always have these fun things like choose a self-love habit or find a fun summer activity, and they give lots of different ideas. So it's always good to kind of check in on that. So here's some examples of things that people have done wanting to do those things maybe multiple times. So let's see. So I like the one, like up at the top in the middle, see how she's kind of X'd out with the washi tape? Like I'm not trying to track those on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? It's only going to be the Monday through Thursday. Or some people like to do the little circles for here's the days I want to try to do those things. Some people like to do this, I call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like a countdown method. So that one kind of down in the bottom in the middle, the first thing they want to do 5 times this week, next one 4 times, next one 3 times, 2 times, and then once. That works pretty well sometimes. Again, switch it up each week. Don't feel like you have to do exactly the same thing that you did the previous week. Some people don't like to put a goal for number of days at all. They just notice that one on the bottom left where they have just kind of color scribbles, right? They're just like, here's the things I'm going to do, and I'm just kind of going to track them. I'm not going to tell myself I have to do them a certain amount of time, right? And then if you still have an idea, oh, good, Nicole's been using the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, again, if it works for you, awesome. Usually I do it. Sometimes I switch it up. Here's a lot of other things maybe that you want to kind of pop in there. They could be a to-do, they could be a habit activity, just kind of thinking of what kinds of things work for you. So again, gonna play a short little song, let you work on your to-dos and your habits and activities. Feel free to let us know how you're using those sections, what kinds of things you're putting in there. Again, it can be very inspirational for someone to be like, oh yeah, I totally need to add that. I frequently will put pack lunch for work as one of my habits or activities. And this week I want to do that 3 times. Sometimes I do it more than the 3 times, but my goal is to do it 3 times. I have read for 15 minutes, walk for 15 minutes, spend 15 minutes in the yard doing some yard work. Think of those things that maybe you want to do multiple times. I could have put them in the to-do list. What I actually wrote in my to-do list this time was, how will future me benefit from what I do this week? So have you ever heard that concept of the idea of future me will thank me for doing X this week? So I'm kind of trying to keep that as a focal point, right? Like, how will future me benefit from what I'm doing this week? So let us know kind of what you're thinking. I'll scroll back through and we'll check back in here in just a few moments. nice job with thinking about those to-dos and or the habits and activities. Someone had put, I put in a lot of basic things, right? Like it could be things like take a shower, brush my teeth, um, do laundry, stretch. It could be, they can be very basic things. And sometimes, like drink water, we have a tendency to forget to do these things or we put them off. And so putting them on there and ticking them off when you do them, I think makes perfect sense because it's helping you build that muscle, right? It's helping you build that habit, which can be really tough sometimes, right? Habits can be really tricky, especially I know, I feel like we have a fair amount of teachers here in our group, and summertime gets to be a little slippery slope because you don't have that schedule. Or I know we have folks who have retired and have talked about how tough it is to stick with some sort of a schedule when you're retired because you don't have to get up, you don't have to be anywhere at certain times. And so it's really easy to let things slide. So really using those to-dos and those habits can be very, very important to help you stick to that and to help you feel like you are being productive and using your time well, right? That's always kind of my thing is time goes by whether we want it to or not. So how can we get the most out of it? So page 53, we're going to flip over to, and I'm going to go through each of these 3 sections so that you can kind of think about them as they are needed for you. I really kind of change these up how I use them every week. It really, really depends on kind of what's going on in my week as I'm thinking of what I need to do and what kinds of things I need to track or keep track of or remember to do. So the meal plan, I feel like, is one of our most heavily repurposed sections. People like to use it for lots and lots of different things. Obviously, you can use it to plan out your meals. And this can be super helpful, especially if you are, I never realized as an adult how often I would have to think about what's for dinner, right? So sometimes planning out those dinner meals can be super, super important, or planning out those lunches when I want to pack my lunch for work. Very, very important for me to kind of plan out what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wake up in the morning and go, I don't know what I want to pack for lunch and I don't know what's ready and I've got to hurry up and get ready. So sometimes this can be super helpful. Some people like to use it more for meal tracking because they're maybe trying to track for some symptoms. If you have migraines or some intestinal discomforts, or with me, I have arthritis pain sometimes. So kind of trying to track what I eat and see if there's any correlation between kind of what I'm eating and symptoms or things that I'm feeling in my body. Or maybe it's, I'm feeling good. What did I eat these last 3 days? I've been feeling really good. Like, what did I eat? I need to do more of that, right? That's the thing that's been working. Some people like to use it for an exercise tracker, a packing list. I frequently will use it as a packing list when I'm traveling so I can figure out what I need to pack so I don't overpack. Maybe it's a wardrobe planner or your self-care planner. Maybe it's areas of your life you want to think about accepting, or maybe it's ways that you accepted different things about your life on each day, right? So lots of different fun ways to keep track of different things. So here's some more examples of things. They used it to track their affirmations, but then they also tracked the color-coded water drops. So if they were drinking coffee or tea or water, they kind of color-coded what that looked like. A chore list, right? Things that you want to do, that those ever popular, always abundant things that need to be cleaned in your house. Maybe it's some appointments or socials that you're attending you want to kind of keep track of. Or again, maybe it's that wardrobe tracker packing list. When we get over to the mind body health plan, that's always kind of a tricky thing for people, not quite sure what they want to track there. I found this little cartoon and I thought it was so cute. And I used this a couple weeks ago. I actually just wrote this in my mind body tracker where I said, today I'm going to be amazing. So that was Monday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll be fabulous. Wednesday, I'll be extraordinary. Thursday, I'll be wonderful. Friday, I'll be magnificent. Saturday, I'll be incredible. And Sunday, I'm going to be brilliant. So kind of a fun way to think about kind of maybe how you're showing up or how you're feeling about yourself. Other people have used it to track their Wordle. If they're keeping track of that, that's always fun. One person said, how did I nourish my mind, my body, and my soul? Different things that they did. One person put things that they feels and needs, right, on there. One person used it for cleaning, to track some cleaning, track some different self-care kinds of things. So face mask, read a book, hair routine, those kinds of things. I liked the one on the bottom, right, where their question was, how did I care for myself each day? So on Monday, they said no, they worked on a puzzle and they had lunch with friends. So kind of a fun way to kind of track what they did to care for themselves during that week. Here's some more examples. Other fun things to do. I like the one in that bottom left where they put 4 different things: strength, yoga, walk, and other, and then drew the lines on each day to which one that they were looking at. Erica, the 7 types of rest, we had a survey in one of our Silk and Sonder blogs, but the idea is that there's seven different areas in your life where you might need rest. And I'll see if I can find the link and pop that back up. Yeah, Tanya, I'll go back to the cartoon here in just a second so you can see that too. But lots of different fun ideas for things you can do with that mind body health plan as you track. And then the shopping list, same kind of thing, right? You can use it for shopping. You can make a bingo, maybe make a bedtime routine, a nighttime routine. Here's some different bingos. Somebody had a birthday week bingo, kind of a cleanup bingo, a mind, body, heart bingo, self-care, different kinds of things. I love they put unshopping list, right? Stay out of the dollar store. Send somebody else, right? Top priority, no junky snacks, right? This is kind of their way to take a look at focusing on that. So different ways to kind of repurpose that section. Obviously, you could use it just as a shopping list, right? Things you need to pick up, things you need to buy. Here's some other fun examples. Just a nice quote: I'm worthy of what I desire. One person made a social check-in where they have each day, and then a person that they want to check in with. So maybe they sent them a text, they called them, or had a face-to-face meeting. Oh, Karen popped in the 7 types of rest link as well. Thank you, Karen. So if you want to kind of take a look at that, the idea is you kind of see like, okay, based on how I'm feeling, how do I need to rest? Maybe my rest is more active and it's more like exercise, or maybe my rest is more creative. I need more creative outlets, those kinds of things. So again, different ways. Nicole says, mine said I need physical rest, and I'm not surprised, right? Yeah, exactly. So here's some different ways. Again, I'll scroll back through this, let y'all work on these things. Oops. And let us know maybe how you're using some of these different pieces, what you're kind of tracking, and then we'll check back in here and wrap things up. Okay, so hopefully some good ideas there for those different sections. Again, try something out, right? If you're like, I'm not really sure what to put in the shopping list, I'm not really sure what to put in this meal plan, just commit to yourself. It's just for 1 week, right? That's the nice thing, is we get a reset every week. We get to try something new. And if it doesn't really work out for you, even midweek, you can like be like, oh, that didn't work out. Note to self, next week, try something new. That's why we give you all these examples, right? All these fun things to try. And like I said, I really kind of look, what is coming up in my week? What kinds of things are happening? Do I have a lot of stuff going on in the evenings? Are my evenings mostly free? Like, what's work looking like? What's the weather looking like, right? Sometimes that can make a big difference for us. I know some folks are really struggling with some intense heat. We've been having crazy storms here in Colorado. We've been having like all sorts of weird hailstorms and windstorms and all sorts of things. So maybe that impacts some of the things that you're doing. So just again, kind of play with it. This is what's fun. This is the fun way to just kind of play with this and see what kinds of things are working. So then that last part, people are always like, what do I put in the I am loving? So maybe it's something that you've been loving from the last week that you want to kind of carry forward. Maybe it's a quote. Maybe it's just one person put, I'm loving myself by, and then kind of putting that in there. I threw a couple pictures in here. Last Monday, two of my sisters, I have 4 sisters, two of my sisters and I went to the Tori Amos concert at Red Rocks. If you've never been to a concert in Red Rocks in Colorado, highly recommend it. I love going to concerts there. It's so beautiful, except when there was a hailstorm. Not for us, but there was one concert where there was a hailstorm and it got kind of bad, but because it is outside. But it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you've never been there, it's a great bucket list item. Find somebody you love to listen to, book a concert, fly into Denver, go up there. It's just a fabulous experience. And Tori Amos up there is just lovely. And then in the bottom, this is my little niece who spent the night with me last night. And yesterday we were trying to play the board game. Sorry. Clearly our cat said, sorry, you're not you're not playing the board game. She was helping there. So that's always kind of a fun place to go. I'm so excited. I work at Aurora Public Schools. So Jory, I'm very excited to see a proud product of Aurora Public Schools there. Love that. Here's a couple examples I always like to show folks. We don't really go over how to use these daily pages, but I wanted to show you some examples of things that folks have done. One person has a spot for highs, lows, brain dump, self-care, and household. So kind of chunked it up like that. One person kind of uses it to track their events, their to-dos, their chores, and then affirmation down at the bottom. I like to use the one thing box to write down the affirmation from Sonder Club, that we get that daily affirmation, but other people like to put, maybe it was their win for the day. Maybe it was something beautiful they saw. Again, kind of, it's your one thing, right? Your one thing that you want to track. Maybe it's a song, anything like that. Here's some other good examples. This person did the alliteration thing. So they had motivation Monday, transformation Tuesday, wellness Wednesday, kind of track some different things in there. Person on the right, they have up in the top, you see the one thing is their chores that they want to do. And then they have a Bible verse, a quote, and an affirmation that they're kind of tracking for each day. Again, another good way to kind of potentially use this and take a look. Here's another fun one. They have some exercise, some brain dumps, and then kind of a to-do list. I like the do tomorrow, right? Sometimes that's helpful over in the other one to kind of think. They have an accomplished list and self-care. So again, it's really kind of all about what works for you. Nicole's saying, I've been doing 3 boxes for summer, 3 positive things, affirmation, and notes. So love that. I think that's a fabulous way to go through and keep track of that. And one thing I also do want to reiterate, because I see this a lot of times in Sonder Club, is people will talk about, oh, my journal's blank, I've got to catch up, I'm so far behind, I feel so bad I haven't used this well, those kinds of things. Please don't let the journal be another source of stress. I would bet you have plenty of things on your plate that already are causing stress. This is for you as you need it. Sometimes you don't need it or you don't have time for it. Other times you have more time, right? Just kind of think of it as, I read this about like, think of it as a river flowing by, and there's all these resources and all these things. Maybe you want to fill out some journal pages. Maybe you want to fill out this, maybe you don't have time, but you can always just kind of dip in, take what you need. There'll always be something else that will flow along there for you. So don't get yourself in that spiral of getting stressed, right? Yes, take what you need and just let the rest go. And every once in a while, you could always flip back a couple months and look and see, hey, is there any journal prompt I didn't do? Maybe I have a little extra time. Maybe I want to spend some time on it now, right? So again, don't let it be a source of stress. It really is for you to help discover what works for you, to help make your life a little bit easier, maybe to give you that time for self-care. So please share your weekly planner, share your ideas, share your thoughts with us in Sonder Club so that we can all benefit from this collective wisdom, because we have such amazing folks here. Malika did a social where we did a little, the affirmation garden on Friday night. It was so fun. People were sharing their fun little affirmation gardens that they made in Sonder Club. And it's so fun for everybody to be able to see. So please, and that's where we get all our examples, right? Karen's always like, share, I need more new examples, right? So share some things in there so that we can take a screenshot. The clearer the picture, the better, right? So if you can take that picture. So believe it or not, that's always the fastest hour. I swear, if treadmill hours and exercise hours went as fast as a Silk and Sonder social hour, life would be so much easier, right? So Karen's throwing in some links for you in the chat. There's the YouTube event recordings, right? Those are usually up within a few days. Make sure that you bookmark that link, save it somewhere, and because it's not searchable, you can't just go to Silk and Sonder's page to get access to it. But it takes a few days for those to get up there, but we have over 500. So you could always watch any weekly setup, right, to kind of check that out. You will get a survey in your email, but here's also a link where you can let us know, especially if there's some specific times that you want to see some socials. Let us know your time zone, of course. We still have the Refer a Friend program going, so there's a link for that. We have an ambassador program link, so you can pop that in there. Again, thank you all so much for being here with us. We're so happy to spend some time working on ourselves, right? Helping make things go along better. So have a fabulous week. Hope to see you again. Karen and I are flipping roles and doing this again this evening. If you want to pop back in, always welcome to do that. And again, hopefully we will see you soon. Have a great last week of July.
Yeah, remember when we were kids? What?